Hi, this is Dave, Fellow Running Guide. Welcome to this week's navigation task. We've got a route choice task this week. We need to get from the Horse Stone over to Grinah Stones. If you saw last week's task, there was a photograph taken from Horse Stone looking over to Grinah Stones. So this week we're going to work out how we're going to get there. I'm using the Harvey Superwalker 1 to 25,000 map for this task, and I've got an agreement with Harvey's to use permission to use their maps. So how are we going to get across from Horsestone to Grinah Stones? Well, the shortest way would be to head straight across southwestwards down through Humber Knolls, across the stream, up the other side, maybe skirt around the north of Round Hill and in to Grinah Stones there. Fairly straightforward, you would say. Something like that. So let's have a look at some statistics on that. So there, that route is just over 3 kilometers. The climb is 187 meters off the map software, and time is 56 minutes more or less, and that's using Naismith's rule for walking. In terms of navigationally, is it easy or difficult in bad visibility? Well, you're just following a compass direction, and you should hopefully come out on this plateau here somewhere. If you're a bit further north and you found this stream, then you'd know that you're a bit further north. If you're a bit further south and found this stream, you'd know where you were there. And then it's just a question of heading up the contours slightly and following them. So you see that Grinah Stones are on the south side, on the U shape of the contours, on the south side of this plateau here. So it wouldn't be too difficult to find navigationally that way, I don't think. However, unfortunately, the map doesn't necessarily show us what the vegetation is like underfoot. So let's have a look. That is what the climb up once you've crossed the river is like. It's knee-deep heather, very, very slow going, really difficult, and that's not shown on the map. So what you might think is, well, we don't want to try and slog our way up through that at all. We need to find a different option. So if we go back and look at the map, could we take paths instead of doing the cross-country direct line? Well, we've got some paths. We've still got to cross this area of open moorland here. Going downhill through that horrible vegetation is a bit easier than going uphill through it. So we could drop down and cross and aim to take this path here up Lower Small Clough and then take the path in that way. So in bad visibility, think about that. What we're going to do, well, we could head straight down. If we head down here and we come out and we see a clough or a stream draining out from the hillside opposite, how do we know which one it is? Well, at Lower Small Clough, you can see the main stream is running pretty much east-west, whereas at Upper Small Clough, we've got a much more of a northerly component there. So a quick check of the compass to see which direction this main River Derwent is running would help us identify whether it was this Upper Small or Lower Small Clough. And then up here, the constant dashes here on the Harvey map indicate that it's a continuous path. When we get to this point here, we'll see there's dash dash and then a space, dash dash and a space, and that means that the path is intermittent, so it's going to be harder to spot. So how are we going to make sure that we don't miss that? Well, we're going uphill, uphill, uphill all the way, and then at this point here, the path, if we overshoot, we don't notice this path coming across us at 90 degrees, then our path swings and suddenly heads southwards, and also this is the high point, so we start to be going downhill. So that should help us. Then we just head northwestwards. What we want to make sure is we don't overshoot on this one, so up to Round Hill. Again, keeping the eye on the compass, we don't want to be going north, we want to be cutting across and going much more westerly, and then up, steeping up the contours into this rocky ground and finding that U shape there. So what about the statistics for that route? Well, here I've got that as option 2. We can see the statistics for that, just over 4 kilometers, height gain 212 meters, and time 1 hour and 12 minutes. So again, it's using Naismiths, a little bit longer, but certainly easier going underfoot. So might be a better option than option 1. Are there any other ways that we could do it? Let's have a look. Well, rather than dropping down and taking that path, we might want to or consider going up and taking this path around the top into here, swinging south across the plateau and then picking up the path and in that way. Trouble with that is, if we see here, we're starting to cover or cross wet ground. We've got these symbols, these eyebrow symbols here, peat hags, so rough ground, and then in here it's very wet. We're crossing lots of wet ground. We certainly want to keep out of this Swainsgrave here, so I think that would be quite difficult. Wet underfoot, rough and wet. It's an indistinct path, so we might lose the path in here and end up hitting Far Black Clough and thinking we're here somewhere possibly, and overshooting and getting into this ground, which would be quite tricky. So that's a long way round and maybe not as efficient, but we can have a look at the statistics. So it's shown in yellow there, 6.5 kilometers, 120 meters of climb, and 1 hour and a half, so certainly longer. So there's a few different options. What about running? So we've put these times, or I've put these times on for walking for Naismiths. So I think running, reasonably easy running, we can cut that in half. So those times we might want to halve those. So there are 3 possible options. You might have got a completely different answer. Just remember that maps don't necessarily show the vegetation, so you might want to change your mind once you find yourself in knee-deep heather and think, right, okay, I'm going to find a path. Anyway, that was this week. I hope it was food for thought. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Look out for next week's navigation task. Bye for now.